Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show today. And guys, you know what I talk about all of the times. We have two great guests in here that I just met in Kingwood at a forum where we had 10 Democrats, 10 Republicans, and great conversation. I got to do some prelim stuff first, but I just want to ask them to say hi. So Jeannie, tell our audience hi and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi, folks. I'm so excited about being here with Egberto. Let me tell you, this wonderful experience that we had on Tuesday night was awesome. I am so happy that we had an opportunity to discuss how we can get America politics back on track. I am Dr. Janie Brenham, and I got interested in politics when I was 5 years old.
Nice.
My grandfather was the sheriff, the Stark County sheriff. And so as soon as you could walk, you were involved in campaign activities. We were block walking since we were 5 years old. So I am excited about this talk show, and thank you, Egberto, for having me here again.
Well, absolutely. And David, tell me a little bit about you real quickly.
I am Dr. David Branham. I am married to Janie. I am a professor of political science at the University of Houston downtown. I'm also the chair of the Department of Social Sciences there, and I've been active in politics since I was a teenager.
Well, look, I am very happy to have you guys. But folks, today we have a special program. After reading the blog of the week, I have these two special guests. As all of my listeners know, even as I am a staunch progressive, I am always intent on engaging the other side in a positive manner. In that light, today I brought two conservatives whom I met at a bipartisan deliberative dialogue in Kingwood that turned out very positively. I wanted them to exchange thoughts here civilly. I mean, we're not going to change our format. They're going to come in here and they're going to be, like I told them, if you don't like what I have to say, I want to hear what you have to say. So that's what it's all about. Look, we are in Fund Drive at KPFT. So please visit kpft.org and support Politics Done Right on the Pacifica Network station, KPFT 90.1 FM. Alternatively, call, what's that number they call again?
713-526-5738.
And make a pledge, folks. They've set a goal for me that is pretty darn high. But you know what, guys? We can do it because, as you can see, we bring you real programming here. Before I go to our little back and forth, is there anybody in Pledge Central that can tell us anything right yet?
Yes, they are getting in place right now. They have to pull up the chair and get in front of their computer, but they are doing it as we speak.
Well, let's go ahead and do our part. Before I get to the program, I want to remind all of our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m.
Of course, we have Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m.
I got you there, eh?
Yeah.
Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And my favorite, Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its best, hosted by
Juan Flores on Tuesdays at 12 noon.
Got you again. And you know what's so funny, guys? That guy that's talking like that, he kind of takes up all the room here. He has 2 shows that I'm on call out, and then he has some other shows as well. But anyhow, let's call it out. The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by the Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD
Two.
side. I still have HD3 in there. Anyhow, folks, check out our schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Here we go. Now, are our folks nice and situated out there in Pledge Central?
Yes, they are. As he
Yes,
boom.
yes.
Talk to me.
Absolutely, we are.
Talk to me, my
Egberto.
dear brother.
We have 3 fine volunteers out here ready to take calls from the community at large and from big donors in Washington, D.C. and Austin and everywhere else.
We
We're
wish.
ready to rock.
We wish.
Well, we can wish.
Yeah, you're right about that, man. You're right about that. But you know what? Stu? Thank you very much for being here. When I didn't see you at a particular time, I was a bit worried, but I knew you always come through, my brother.
Well, I had some errands on the way down here. Got some business to take care of, and
I know.
my kids need cigarettes and beer, so I had to stop off and get that for them.
Hey, you got 2 conservatives in here with me, man. You can't say that, dude. I mean, he's going to look at me and say, Bertie, see why we give hill to the liberals? Because
Okay.
you guys do that?
All right, well, skip the beer then. I had to drop them off some cigarettes,
All right, man, let's continue with the press. Thank you very much, Stu. Anyhow, folks, what are your thoughts? We want you to call 713-526-5738. But folks, we're going to go straight into the blog of the week. Then we're going to have our guest on. So do you know what time it is? It's time for the weekly blog post. Okay. The blog post is going to be short and quick. What can we learn from Connor Lamb's victory in Pennsylvania? And there are a few things that I want the 2 doctors here to kind of come back with me with some of the progressive things that I'm going to say in here. But anyhow, here it goes. Too many progressives are complaining that Connor Lamb is not a real progressive, and they are correct. However, he is progressive enough. My advice here is, in Texas has been consistent. Vote for the most progressive candidate that can win, then fight like hell when they are elected, ensuring they vote our progressive tenets as defined in the Democratic platform. Connor Lamb won his district because he intelligently navigated his values, those of his party, and those of his potential constituents. He successfully navigated this values versus public interest the best he could. As an example, he is personally anti-choice, but supports pro-choice policies. Connor's form of campaigning is instructive. A caller to my show, while stating that she had nothing against immigrants, was concerned that having another pool of workers would materially affect her family's life. She said her husband that worked in construction was always undercut by the immigrant worker because they worked for less. She also assumed that they could work for less because taxes and other things citizens are responsible for, that immigrant worker might not be. In effect, she feared the immigrant not out of racial animus, but because she felt it materially affected her family. I am not naive. It is clear there are some who are just racist, but that said, the right wing has understood that selectively personalizing issues specific to regions around the country is successful because that is how humans are wired. They also understand that in our fast-paced world where the working middle class does not have the time to spend doing a lot of research, getting their message out, however untrue, and repeating it ad nauseum makes it true to a large segment of the country. The right wing has an echo chamber in Fox News and echo chamber at talk radio to hammer that message. What is even worse is that they have enlisted the evangelical leaders to promote fallacies by giving them the social carrot of being completely against same-sex marriage, abortion, and much more. This is doing much harm to our country. Connor's form of campaigning was inoculated him so much so that he could win an R+20 district. That is not an easy thing to do. To win an R+20 district is next to impossible. The right, under the auspices of corporations, does not want the government, we the people, to invest in ourselves to rebuild our decaying infrastructure, educational system, and public services. I can think of 3 specific reasons If Americans believe the government has failed in education, then privatization becomes an option in their minds. If our government-funded infrastructure crumbles, then extensive privatization of our roads, etc., tolls, etc., become a viable privatization, or rather becomes a viable option. If the public services, meaning like DMV, Postal Service, etc., provide poor services, then privatization becomes an alternative. In other words, starve the government from collecting the fair share of taxes from those who have benefited the most. This then starves the government from the ability to keep up with our infrastructure, road, bridges, airports, etc., our educational system, and our public services. Sabotage our public sector, then claim government does not work, and privatization then becomes essential. To break that cycle, we must first once again become a majority in Congress by all means necessary. This means, as many have said, in the short term, electing candidates with a message that fit their district. Their message may not necessarily be a progressive as it needs to be, but it may be as progressive as it has to be in the short term. But it is incumbent on the grassroots to educate the constituency going forward as they can ably deflect the lies coming from the right side. And remember, when asked specifically about their wants, most people wants, and I would wager my two wonderful guests as well, most people's, the things that they want from an economic standpoint are generally progressive in nature. We're not all that far apart. Technically speaking, we're not all that far apart. Connor Lamb is a template to win many of our districts. Before we go to our guests, I need those phones ringing. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 713-526-5738.
What do we have to offer?
Folks, we have many things to offer. Of course, we have the book that I cannot say the person who writes it because I can't pronounce it.
Marcos Molitsas.
Okay. Marcus Molitsas. The Resistance Handbook, 45 Ways to Stop Trump. That's a $120 pledge. That's $10 a month. You can do that throughout a year. And once you pay half of it, guess what? You get it. Also, we have another book by Egberto Willies, As I See It. That one's another one for $120. I heard about this Egberto Willies guy. I heard it was a pretty good book. It's just something about the way this guy, he talks. His whole thing is come on in. And if you have ever listened to the show, he says this to everyone. And he even said it earlier today, and he means that. He will talk to anybody, no matter what your beliefs are, and have a great dialogue. And I think that book has a really good piece of it. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Oh, that might hurt some of your...
No, my guests, they know me. They know that is, Jenny actually had an interesting thing to say when she was listening to Mohammed yesterday. She said, he has to get that money.
Listen, folks, when I heard Mohammed, I thought, yes, that's the man that knows how to get the money in.
Anyhow, Stu, talk to me and tell me the phone has already rang.
Well, I would, but I'm a Unitarian, so I'm incapable of lying. So I couldn't tell you that. So,
okay, folks,
they need to get those phones ringing so we can keep politics done right on the air. Got to do it.
You don't want to get me off the air, do you? Or do you hate me that much? 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Anyhow, let me start with Jenny. Jenny, I think what we did in Kingwood 2 days ago was a wonderful thing. Why don't you tell our audience what we did?
Let me tell you, it was an exciting moment for both the Democrats and the Republicans. Somehow or another, us, the citizens of Houston and Kingwood, we need to get America back on track. Right now, Americans are more dissatisfied with government than ever. A recent New York Times CBS News survey found that 84% disapprove of Congress and fully 89% say they cannot trust the government to do the right thing. Well, folks, we need to do the right thing for our communities. We have to share our communities with Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, and all of those people that do not have a voice. And they're depending on us to educate them and do the right thing. Those individuals who are living right now under the bridge, our veterans, is highly unacceptable. Our single moms who have 2 and 3 children because their husbands decide that they're going to go for a younger woman. It's wrong, folks. We need to help that mama with 2 or 3 children. We have to accept the responsibility of educating each and every one of those children, and we have to embrace that mama who is homeless. Those children are the future of our country, and we need to do something.
Now, I'm going to come to you in a second, Dr. David, but what you just said there, right? One of the reasons that I think we got along so well, and first of all, I heard about you through a couple of other Democrats who highly respect you, and they were saying, when we were putting the deliberative dialogue together, Dr. Theis's project together, they said if there's one person that you want organizing, that was you, right? So, in just listening to what you had to say right there, if the people in this station just heard your commentary right there, nobody would have called you a Republican, because that's not the image that you're promoting right now as a Republican. I'm talking about your party. It's not the image that comes across, that you care about those veterans under the bridge, that you care about that single mother, that you care about these things that people value. So, David, why don't you expand on that? Because like I told you before, the image that is coming across, and I'm not talking from the a lot of the grassroots Republicans that I talk to, like I tell you I talk to, but a lot of it comes across pretty darn mean when it comes down the pike.
It does, and I think it's because of what we hear on the television and so forth. Network news has now become big business. If you look at the transformation of CNN, CNN can thank Donald Trump for its success, because CNN was basically going on the downfall until Donald Trump come along. If you watch the ABC network, I see Matthew Dowd on there a lot. He nowadays when he talks about Donald Trump, he doesn't have anything good to say, but he said anything he could during the primary to get Donald Trump elected. So what you see on the news is often something incendiary, something that makes people watch. And that makes it where the Republican Party oftentimes, in all honesty, is seen as a mean and hateful group of people. And the truth is that, especially among elected officials, they really aren't.
Now, let me stop you right there a second, because you said, first of all, I know both of you personally now, and I know personally that neither one of you are mean people. But some of the people that I see you hanging with, I'm sorry, there's nothing that you're going to tell me that is not going to tell me that Dan Patrick is mean.
Well, I would disagree with you.
Tell me why.
The reason why is because when you work with him at the state capitol, and you work with the Senate, and he leads that Senate, he is concerned about all of the people of Texas, all of them. Kids, everyone. Dr. Robert Sanborn does a show on KPFT, yes. Doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He's personally told me that he works very well with Dan Patrick when he's up during the session, because Dan Patrick, despite the rhetoric, despite what the persona that he has in the Texas with the people of Texas, when you actually start working with him and you point out to him, look, we need to protect this group of kids, we need to protect this group of people, and so forth. Dan Patrick works as hard as he can to make sure that happens. And so we have to understand that everybody needs protection, and that Dan Patrick, even though he's got that persona, is often not that way. I took a group of students from the University of Houston downtown to the last session. I met with everybody from Jarvis Johnson, Representative Jarvis Johnson, to Briscoe Kane in Deer Park. Every single one of those people who come out showed that they were concerned about our college students. Every one of our college students believed in their heart when they walked away that all the people that we've seen Representative Marianne Perez.
Mhm.
She came out of her committee meeting just to see our students because she loved them so much. And Dan Huberty basically
I know
opened
Dan
up.
personally.
Yeah, he opened up his office for them, and so that they can come in. Briscoe Kane said, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming. Wait a second. Let me go open an office in the Capitol for you, so we can come, so we can cater to you." And they talked and answered all of their questions. Every single one of them want what's good for the people of Texas.
Okay, well, let me. Okay, go ahead.
And-
Sure, go ahead.
Let me tell you, State Representative Dan Huberty
Mhm.
is an elected official.
Right.
He is in my precinct. I am the Harris County Republican precinct chair of 659. No one does more than our State Representative Dan Huberty, who is a Republican. He raises millions and millions of dollars for Family Time Crisis and Counseling Center. This is a center who takes in the middle of the night families who have been battered, women who have been battered by their husbands, and they end up at the Family Time Center in their pajamas. So right now, we have a lot of representatives who are Republicans who raise millions of dollars for those in need. And I can highly talk about Dan Huberty because I've known him for many, many years.
I know him. I
and
used to
he
play
does that.
racquetball with Dan. He was my racquetball partner. But let me tell you this now, because you're talking about individuals and what individuals have done, and that's great. And I think individually, a lot of these guys can be just fine, as you said. I honestly think that, because I've spoken to several of them myself. In fact, when we were there campaigning for for the school board and all of that, we're all sitting down there and we're shooting the bull, and it's nice. But here's the thing, Jeannie and David, and this is where I think I have to hit both of you up very, very hard. I think what Republicans did in the state during the Obamacare debate was not only evil, but murderous. And let me explain what I mean by that. The Obamacare offered to Texas and every state the ability to insure all of the people who couldn't afford insurance at a cost to the state of $0 for the first 3 years. That's a fact. 3 years for the first 3 years. And thereafter, 10%. The party, and this again, let's dialogue on this. The party that holds itself as the party of life, a pro-life party. By the way, I'm a pro-life party. Whatever party I'm at, I'm always pro-life. I believe in life. I believe in everything. They decided in a mean-spirited manner, I have to say, not to accept that because, well, we don't have to go into because there'll be conjecture, but they didn't accept it. And in that process, we were losing 2,300. A&M University, I believe, is the one that did the study. 2,300 or more people were dying in this country, in this state, because they didn't have that coverage. I think while all these people that you're saying are fine on the individual basis and working with you, I see you with your pictures. I watch it. I think they're nice to you. But I'm sorry. I think that was a horrendous move. I would love to hear your point of view. In fact, I would love to hear you say that, okay, they made a mistake there and maybe we should mitigate that.
My reaction to you is, okay, if you make it sound, because your rhetoric is really good.
Yes.
You make it sound like they are denying those people health care coverage. That they basically, okay, we're going to take away your health care coverage and not allow you to go to a doctor.
True.
There isn't a person in Texas who can't go to a doctor.
Okay.
There's not.
I'm going to answer you that afterwards, but go ahead and make
There's
your point.
not one.
Yeah.
My mother and my father, my father swung a hammer his whole life. My father never got past the 3rd grade. My mother dropped out of high school when she was in the 10th grade. I lived in a house where our Friday paycheck meant we had chicken that night.
Right.
So I understand what it's like to be poor. They did not have insurance either. But in Texas, the state of Texas took care of my parents when they were sick. They did it. My mother got sick with leukemia. And she passed away when she was 57. But for 19 months, the state of Texas took care of her while she was sick. So to say that the state of Texas is denying healthcare coverage is not correct.
I need to come back with you. Oh, were you done, or? I don't
Well,
wanna
I'm just
interrupt you.
basically saying it's not correct.
Okay.
Texas will provide you healthcare coverage. It's not healthcare insurance that you're
Let me give you
talking
some
about.
realities, though, my brother, and it goes like this.
Okay.
My wife has lupus.
Yes, I'm
I've
sorry
worked-
about that.
Right. She's doing fine, but I've worked for myself up until I decided to become a full-time political activist since the last 5 years. But anyhow, worked for myself. I've had to buy my own individual insurance since 1989. Okay. And every year it has gone up 10, 15, 20%. And it was getting prohibitive until Obamacare came along. And then those individual rates went down. So those are facts. Those are facts out there. The problem is now, when Brother Trump got into the to office now, and he made these changes with the tax plan that he puts out there, what I call a tax scam, but you guys call it something else. But anyhow,
Yeah, please don't put words in my mouth.
I
Okay.
know. That's why I call it a tax scam. You may call it. Oh wait, what do you call it?
Well, we're $21 trillion in debt, so that's an issue.
You,
I think you
hey,
heard me the other night.
my look, folks. Do you see why these two people are on my show? Because in as much as we disagree and stuff, there are some smart folk here. Good. I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that. Okay, but here's the deal. When they made that change, that meant that my insurance policy was probably going to be costing me $15,000 to $16,000 a year with a $10,000 deductible. Okay, so we're looking at things that makes, people can say, oh, well, in Texas, everybody had coverage. Not quite accurate. Your mother, bless her soul, your mother was in a time when Texas was a state that provided for its citizens. We're now at Texas with the new legislature over the last several years. Let me explain. Over the last several years that have given a lot of credits to business, have opened up a lot of things like toll roads. And even though now the Republicans are against toll roads recently, it was kind of
Yeah, I saw that on the
surprising.
ballot.
It's kind of surprising, but so I mean, it used to be that they have the French company comes in and they build the toll roads, etc. They do all these things.
I'm sorry, I actually voted against that, though. I think toll roads, I think you should pay if you want to get on the
I
road.
figured you would say that because I figured I disagree, but we'll talk about that at another time. We don't have enough time, but I tell you what, I need to go and make some money. Folks,
Make some money, please.
713-526-5738. Folks, we need those phones to be ringing. We have a good show here. We have these two great conservatives that I brought in from Kingwood that, they're going with me toe to toe. Look, none of us are scared of saying what we do believe here. You hear that? That is the kind of commentary that you can get on a show like KPFT. We give you real. In other words, David and Jeannie know they can come in here and say whatever the hell they want to say, and I can do the same. That is what we have here. That's the kind of commentary we have. So we're asking you, please call 713-526-5738. My phone hasn't rung. We need your calls, please. We need your calls. 713-526-5738. You know what is so interesting? Most of our listeners are progressives. Are you guys really going to have two conservatives in my studio and show that you're not willing to support your progressive values? 713-526-5738. You know what? Ginny and David are going to go back to Kingwood and say, hey, yeah, they have that little progressive station in Houston. And Jenny always tells me, Egberto, I raised this amount of money for our Republican project and this project, and you won't support progressive radio, the only thing we got in Houston? Because David and Jeannie, you guys control the airwaves in Texas. You know that. Except for something, right, David?
I think you invited me onto the show. I didn't have control.
Well, you could have said no, but I think you're my new friend, right?
Absolutely.
You're my new friend, right, Jenny?
Well, let me tell you something. I am a very good friend of yours.
Yes.
Because politics done right deserves a check from this Republican conservative woman. Dr. Janie Brenham is going to pledge $100 right now.
You hear that?
Oh,
Thank
there you
you.
go.
Jenny, thank you so kindly for your donation.
But this is a challenge to all of those listening to this progressive radio station. We need our voice heard. It doesn't matter if it's a conservative radio show or a progressive radio show. We're all working for the same thing. We want our citizens to be educated when it comes to our elected officials. And I can tell you folks right now, $100 may not sound like too much, but I am a Republican conservative woman that is willing to make a contribution to this wonderful radio station and our host, Egoberto. I challenge each and every one of you who's listening right now to do the same thing. You can pledge $25 or $50, but do pledge something. If you're listening right now, it is a moral responsibility to keep freedom of speech alive. It is your money. It is your money that's going to keep this radio station alive and Egoberto on the air. If he is willing to bring in two very conservative Republicans on his show, then we have a moral obligation to continue to support Egoberto and his radio show as a host.
Thank you so kindly. I let me tell you something. You just touched me, but you touched me with, 2 days ago as well. Like when I told you that when I met you, I told you straight up, you know, you are the kind of, let me tell you guys something, okay? And one of the reasons that I like entertaining the other side, I'm a very liberal guy. I'm a very left-wing progressive, but I need a stop. And what do I mean by I need a stop? I would go way down. And I think this country needs people who are going to say, wait a minute, let's put a check on that. Let's see if, let's slow you down a bit because it may have alternative consequences. And I'll tell you what, there are, and I think one of the reasons that I'm this way is there have been conservatives who've made me do a double take. I am never ashamed to come on the air and say, you know what they said is actually for that particular thing. I'm not going to give you all of it now, but but for that particular thing, you may change my mind. It's just like I told you, David, Dr. Jeannie, just like I told you at the thing when you started talking about the money in politics. And let me tell you, folks, I tell you what, why don't you tell folks what you really believe money in politics? You believe you're like a free-for-all of money in politics.
Yeah, I believe in freedom of money. Yes, I believe that the one thing that I believe we have to have, though, is transparency.
Right.
And the entire group of 20 people, Republicans and Democrats, believe that transparency is of utmost importance.
And we said we were going to work on that.
Yes, that's and so 20 of us agree on that. So I'm going to say that I believe as long as there is true transparency, where you know where the money is coming from, and you report where that money is, that you should be able to spend it on any candidate that you want. And my reasoning for this is that every single person, regardless of your citizenship, regardless of your race, your ethnicity, regardless of your income, you all have one vote. Exactly one vote. Every single person does. Now, no one can take that away. Thank God today, no one can take that away. And if they do try, then we'll fight back for that. But you have one vote. And that means that if you have full transparency and you don't like people, that vote for guns, you can look and see who the NRA gave their money to, and you can vote against that person if you don't like that. If you are pro-life on abortion, you can look at those pro-choice groups and see who took money from pro-choice groups and vote against that person. So it's up to you as a voter to take responsibility for this. Quit worrying about everyone else's money. I haven't met not one person who said that anything they heard from Russia caused them to vote for Donald Trump. Not one person has ever attributed what they heard on the media from Russia as their reasoning for voting for Donald Trump.
Now, when you gave that speech 2 days ago,
I did.
For a minute, you had me. For a minute. No, I'm serious. Because we coalesced around transparency. Both Democrats and Republicans coalesced around transparency. Then I said, but then the rest. Then I thought to myself and said, that's true what the doc is saying. And then I came to my senses, and this is what I said. I said, it is easy for you to say that. For the person who has money, It is easy to say that I'm going to give money, and as long as I tell you that I'm giving money, it's okay. You know that, and all the people who are interested in seeing that you've given money, they see that. The problem with America right now is there's something that I say that sometimes it sounds a little bit elitist, but I think it's true. And that is democracy requires a certain amount of education. Okay.
It does, yes.
And what I think has occurred to America is the devaluation of education. And a lot of people, and I think you've acknowledged that, both of you have acknowledged that.
Fully agree with you.
Right, exactly. And what
happens? Fully agree with
right,
you.
and what happens now is your money in an educated society, that would be true. But in a society I don't think is any longer educated on politics or on a whole lot of things. I remember we spoke to William a whole lot about how much civics was taught in school.
You know, I'm a professional educator.
Exactly. So that is where I have to disagree with you, because I think it is easy because, okay, let's say you have money and you can send your money to Appalachia and all these other places.
I can.
And then you can get exposure there. Now let's say I'm a poor guy.
Right.
I don't have enough people to there's a person in the forum that says just work harder and get somebody to volunteer for you. It's easy in a small country. It's not easy, not even in Texas. Ask Collier and all these other guys that are running around trying to get around Texas.
I'll be quoting R.W. Bray in a second here.
Yes,
because we saw it in CD2.
Right.
And I had my hand raised on this example. We saw Kathleen Wall spend
a lot of money,
about $500 per vote.
Right.
Dan Crenshaw was running against her. And when he started, he told me to my face, he says, I don't have anything but the shirt on my back.
Right.
I'm going to go for it. We couldn't even get cards from him. And as time went on, he built support, got money. All of a sudden, he showed up my door with cards and said, look, I'm running. And the momentum came. And he beat a person who spent $6 million.
I want to see what happens in the runoff and see how it plays out in the runoff, but we'll see.
Yeah,
but I
look forward to it.
Yeah, I want to, I still can't agree with that because I do think money matters. Do we have anything from Play Central?
Yes, we do. Right now, they are taking calls as we speak.
Okay, folks, please keep those calls coming. Please listen to Jeannie. Listen to Jeannie. Nobody can say it like Jeannie could. 713-526-573. In fact, I'm going to give it to her again. Say it again, Jeannie.
713-526-5738. Folks, it is your responsibility to keep this radio station alive. We like politics done right. Support the host, Egoberto. You can pledge $25, $50, $100. It is our moral responsibility to ensure that we have freedom of speech. It is our radio host over here that embraces conservatives, liberals. So let's support him. It takes money. It really takes money for us to express our freedom of speech. I am a grateful conservative for Egoberto giving me this opportunity to come on his radio show and give my points of view. Let's support him. He's on the right track. He's doing the right thing for our children, doing the right thing for our families. Let's support him. Donate now, $25, $50.
This is part of the education process he and I were talking about, informing the public. And there's no better way to inform the public than with two separate voices that are opposing each other and are basically respectfully disagreeing with each other. I think we both can agree that education has got to be an intervention here.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'm a professional educator, and we what I say assumes that people are educated. Well, my intervention would be to recommend that we do something about that.
Look, let me tell you, and those are areas that we can work together on all of the times. Now, the one thing that I want to say, David and Jeannie, is that as Republicans who have a whole lot of presence with these guys, because I see you all over the place with Dan Patrick, I see you with Dan Huberty, I see you with what's the other guy's name? I didn't see you with Ted Cruz. How comes?
Oh,
we were with Ted Cruz.
You were with Ted Cruz. I didn't see you with him. Okay.
We had a meeting that actually Janie put together when she was president of
Oh.
Kingwood Area Republican Women.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we had United States Ted Cruz.
I don't like the guy.
Well, we love the guy.
I know you love the guy.
He does a lot. He does a lot for education. He's done a lot for flooded community. When the Kingwood experienced the flood,
Right.
and David and I live on the lake,
Right.
we immediately contacted him and we put a forum together, and he came.
Right.
And he was most gracious. He came with the promise of helping the flooded victims, and that was so generous of him.
I want to say something, Jeannie and David, both of you really, because I would like to get some acknowledgement of this. I mean, because your view of a lot of these guys, I think is genuine. And not only do I think is genuine, I think it is right for your situation. In other words, I do think Ted Cruz works very well for you.
Mm-hmm.
I do think all these guys work very well for you. I don't know that they work very well for many others. Let me give an example.
Okay.
Give an example. Kingwood flooded,
Yes, it did.
and a lot of other areas in Houston flooded,
Yes.
big time. I've been through all over Houston. You know where got the big response? Kingwood.
Yes,
I live in
because-
Kingwood, and I should be happy for that. But what I'm saying is there's some disproportionate amount of effort that is given. That you have the air of Ted Cruz, you have the air of all these big shots. You really do. You guys, you can make a call to these guys, and they're there. So I tell you one thing. I'm not before you answer. I tell you what I'm going to do going forward.
Please.
I know two guys who have power with these guys. So when I find folks, for those that are listening to me right now, my base.
I don't know if I have power because, in all honesty,
No, you do. Yes, you
in
do.
all honesty,
Yeah.
I've never hesitated to criticize my own people, my own party,
Right.
when I thought they were in the
Well,
wrong.
you did. Actually, you know what? You're right. You did that here with the tax scam.
I
You
did
that.
Yeah,
You did that.
I've never hesitated that.
Yes,
and,
you
and
did
that's
that.
one thing I think we have to do. We have to
Right.
stop just supporting people because they're on our side.
Thank you. Because I mean,
Yes.
I've hit both parties up. Both. of them.
Please
Yeah.
continue.
But you know what, Egoberto? It's
Yes.
very, very important for the audience to realize
Mhm.
we all have a voice. We elected Ted Cruz. We elected Governor Abbott, which he's going to be here
Mhm.
addressing the flood issue
Right.
also in Kingwood. But we hold them accountable. And the reason why we hold them accountable, it's because it's like David and I, when we make 13,000 phone calls a week to get these guys elected, when we block walk 400 homes a day, that is power. We get these guys, we get them elected through campaign activities. And let me tell you, we increase, we do demand responsibility.
And you get it.
And we get it.
Jeannie,
But we have to educate the people. If you want these individuals to come to you when a crisis comes upon your doorstep, you must be out there visibly campaigning, getting that person elected that's going to look after your best interests. It comes at a cost. It's called phone banking and block walking.
You know what? I love what you just said. And folks that are listening to this show right now, listen to what Jeannie just said, because that is a lot of times what's lacking on the left. I have found, I'm a member, live in Kingwood, and I have not seen a stronger group of folk who get their politicians to do what they need the politicians to do
It's true.
in Kingwood. Kingwood can't get a pothole that doesn't get taken care of. Kingwood cannot, and the reason I'm saying this, right? I'm trying to talk to my liberals and my progressives out here, because a lot of times one complains, and when one complains, but did you vote? When one complains, did you exert the pressure? Did you do what Jeannie did? Jeannie is phone banking for Republicans, and I've seen the pictures on her Facebook page, day in, day out, doing the job. You can't ask for solutions if you're not willing to pay for it. And for that, I've got to commend you. I've got to do that, because you're working for, you're not working for the side I want you working for. Hey, you want to come and work for my side? Anyhow, folks, 713-526-5738. Again,
We have some people to thank, Egberto.
go for it, sir.
We got the suburbs beating up on the big city here. We got Betty from Rosenberg to
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you, Betty. Anthony from Rocheron.
Thank you,
Texas.
Anthony.
Robert from New Caney. Who
Thank
says,
you,
He
Robert.
says hello to Egberto and Larry. And we have Anonymous from Conroe. She pledged, and she says she is trapped in Conroe.
Thank you so kindly, guys. But we only have 14 minutes, and we need those phones to ring. 713-526-5738. Look, we have the conservatives given to KPFT. Where are my liberals? Where are my progressives? 713-526-5738. You know what Jenny is going back home to say? Jenny is going back home to say, I came to KPFT, the bastion of liberalism, and we gave. And do you know those liberals didn't support their own station?
New Caney, Conroe, Rocheron. That's where you're getting your donations from.
Folks, 713-526-5738.
People are passionate out there in the
Yes,
suburbs.
yes, they are. 713-526-5738. Now, Jenny, you after we did the forum, we came out with some ideas that we were going to go forward and do some things. And you wanted to announce that we were going to do something special. What was that we're going to do?
Well, first of all, folks, the one thing we need to get to do first, it's the runoff is here. Each and every one of you has one vote. If you want your candidate to win, I urge you, it is imperative that you make time for those campaign activities. The only way that your voice is going to be heard when you need an elected official to come to your aid is if you're visibly out there campaigning for the candidate of your choice. It is imperative that you're highly visible, phone banking, that you're out there pushing cards, knocking on doors. That is of utmost importance now, because when you do that, those candidates are candidates right now. But if you're out there campaigning for the person of your choice, and believe me, you need to educate yourself. You need to know what these guys stand for. You know, Dan Crenshaw for Congress. Mm-hmm. He's a Navy veteran. But you know what Dan Crenshaw did?
What?
He came to my Mardi Gras. I had a Mardi Gras. I was raising money for the judicial candidates, Republican judicial candidates. He came to my doorstep and he said, Janie, I am going to give you 1 hour. As a retired Navy SEAL, I'm going to give you 1 hour and let's do a live auction with that. Well, with his generosity, you're not going to believe that 1 hour turned out to be $5,000.
So what I tell you about Republicans, they got money, man.
Yeah. 1 hour with a Navy SEAL. That's all it took. You know?
1 hour with a Navy SEAL. But you know what? He was there. He was highly present. Mm-hmm. When he donated that 1 hour, you know, for the live auction, I knew I had a moral responsibility to give back to our veterans. I knew that I had to go out there and campaign, put out the yard signs, do the phone banking, not only that, put out his campaign literature. And we do the same for Kevin Roberts, for Senator Kevin Roberts, who is also seeking Ted Poe's seat. You know, Dan Crenshaw and Kevin Roberts are in the
Come on, name me some Democrats that are running now. Do you know them?
I'm going to leave that to you.
Todd Litton got the nomination in CD2, yes, for the Democrats. And
right.
Laura Mosier is running against Lizzie Fletcher in CD7 for the opportunity to run against John Culberson. And that's going to be a very
That's going to be a tight race, I think. I think it's going to be
Yes.
interesting, especially if we have this blue year. You see what I tell you? The guy knows his Democratic
I know Democrats
guys.
too, yes.
That's important. That is important. Folks, we needed to give us a call, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Are there any phones ringing?
We want to thank Beth down in Clear Lake.
Thank you, Beth.
She reads your blog, and she's a longtime supporter of KPFT.
Thank you so kindly,
And
Beth.
Anthony called back from Rosharon, wanting everybody to know that he is a progressive in Rosharon, not conservative.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. At
Got
least
one call on the
He's
line
transforming
right
Rosharon one day at a time.
he's transforming Rosharon one day at a time. Folks, we only have 10 minutes. 713-526-57. Please let that rush come in now. I brought you two wonderful guests. They are conservatives that are willing to talk. They are conservatives that are willing to make their case, and they're making it. They're trying to make their case against, you know, this
You better not
left
say
wing.
we're making it. You're going to get in trouble.
No. It's, if you said no, I don't get in trouble with my folks. You know why? Because they know I'm honest. And if you
Absolutely.
Doc, if you convince me, both doctors, if any one of you convince me of something, I would take that knowledge. If you convince me of something and take it to my audience. You see, the magic here is not about being wrong and strong. It's about being right.
Absolutely.
You
And
understand what I'm
doing the
saying?
right thing
And doing
for
the-
the people.
And doing the right thing for the people.
Integrity, empathy,
So I mean,
responsibility.
I have changed my mind on air. You didn't do it today. Okay? You didn't do it today.
We're going to have to come back, folks.
but because we're still not going to agree on that money stuff, my brother. We're still not going to agree on that. But, you know, the thing about it is you need to, you know, when I can get a Republican to come on here and on this show and not sound like the crazies that everybody think Republicans are, or when I can go on in a Republican domain, which I've been to, and people say, you know, this is the first thing that they tell me. Wow, on Fox News, they make left-wing liberals look like you guys are a bunch of crazies and you're trying to kill us and all of. I'm like, so am I trying to? No, you're so nice.
Yeah, don't listen to network news.
Right.
I mean, that's CNN, MSNBC, Fox.
Right.
It's not really news. It's about ratings.
Right.
Now, so I would say listen to people who want to give you the right information.
And I tell people at the grocery store,
Yes.
you know, I live in Starbucks, and I always give Starbucks a plug. You know why?
Mhm.
Starbucks pays its employees very well. They have educational programs and all of that. So anytime I come on the air, I can't give this is not a shout out. So I'm still under FCC rules, brother. Still under FCC rules. But
Mhm.
I respect a company that really provides for its employees. And all those folks out there are happy. They come out to me and they'll because they know that I'm fighting for student loans and all that kind of stuff.
You
and
get a
they'll
lot
come out.
more applications. You get a lot better employees if you do that.
Exactly.
Oh,
Look
gosh,
at
that's
Costco versus
conservative,
Sam.
right?
No, that's liberal, brother.
No, I disagree.
But folks, give us a call, 713-526-573. I have these two great guests, and you guys are going to be on again because I tell you what I think it's important. What we did in Kingwood 2 days ago, and tell me something that came out of that. What you think?
Well, you know, Egilberto, I was pleasantly surprised that the Democrats and Republicans can come together to better our community. And that's what we need. When the elected officials see Democrats and Republicans coming together to better our communities, that says a loud message. We are increasing responsibility, we're educating the community, and we expect a lot from our elected officials. It is never okay. It is never okay to be in Washington, D.C. and not fight for the people. You know, it is time for us to think about our children, to think about safety in our schools, you know, the safety of our families, that we have a moral obligation. And the good thing about what we did on Tuesday is that it was at the Kingwood Christian Church.
Right.
And you know, it was a pretty safe place, you know. We encourage our pastors to continue to rally around all the people that need help. People are hurting, Egilberto. They're hurting, and they need our elected officials to do something about it. They're hurting in education. They're hurting with safety, school safety, with people needing doctors, medical care. They do not have the means to do it for whatever reason. But we have big hearts, Egilberto. One thing about the Democrats and the Republicans is we're all about the big heart. We're always doing the right thing for our veterans, doing the right thing for education, doing the right thing for battered women. There's some commonality here. We must continue to come together and hold our elected officials accountable.
Well, as you know, we're going to do any more any more things for us to any more people for us to thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We have Derek from Houston, loves the show.
Thank you, Derek.
And my sister Joanna.
Joanna,
laid
thank
down
you.
a Benjamin for the show.
Oh, thank you so kindly,
And she
Diana.
says, hello, Egbert. No, she says, hello, Stu.
Oh, hey,
Sorry, Egbert.
come on. You know I love you too.
I know. No, very generous donations from those two folks.
Thank you
Keep
so
them coming
kindly.
in, folks. We got
We-
5 more minutes.
And we got at least $500 more we got to raise, folks. 713-526-573. Please give us a call. We have to raise this to keep these shows on air. Pacifica Network needs you now. KPFT 90.1 FM needs you right now. You see the caliber of guests that we bring here. I mean, I can say it myself. It's not about me. It's about them. The caliber of guests. We had Nisha last week. The caliber of guests. Nisha, one of the most active left-wing activists here in town, and she was here. I forgot who we had for the first day, the first, forgive me, but who knows? The thing about it is we always have good caliber guests here. David and Jeannie, I was so happy that they accepted the invitation to come on here because I know that these were special Republicans. They were special Republicans that were going to come here. They were going to hold their ground unless I was able to nip a little bit. You know,
Egilberto, you're going to do a lot more shows with us for you to nudge me a little.
Yeah, well, I'm going to nudge you because you know what? Your heart is nudgeable. Both of your hearts are nudgeable, man. You know, I can see it. I can read right through because when you come on here and you say, you know, we have to take care of all these folks. I'm like, wait a minute. This woman is sounding like a damn liberal. We have to take you know what I'm talking about, David.
Oh, of course.
But anyhow, folks, we need your calls right now. 713-526-5738. We had our conservatives here that gave a great set of great donations here. We need to hear from you. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Quick offers for them.
713-526-5738. Folks, we have the Egberto Willie's As I See It book. Class warfare, the
only
only
resort
resort to right-wing doom. That's for 120. Also, the book by Marcos Molitsas and Michael Huntner, The Resistance Handbook, 45 Ways to Stop Trump. Each book for 120. But if you get both books together, guess what, folks? It's only $180. That's $15 a month. You can do that. You can not have Starbucks for what?
Yeah,
a week?
a couple days.
Just three days.
Yeah,
Actually, with
3
Starbucks,
days.
it's 2 days.
Yeah.
Not have Starbucks for 2 days, or just not get a venti.
Right.
You don't have to always get a venti,
Right.
but just tighten the belts up a little bit and make sure you do it for freedom of speech, freedom of journalism, freedom of information getting out, because that's what's happening right now. Where else will you get these kind of conversations where you're not going at their throats and vice versa?
No reason to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a respectful conversation. And that is what KPFT is all about, is a respectful conversation, regardless of what past or present or future that you have. It's for you. It's for your children to come up like it. How about this? You give the $25. Yeah, it might be low, quote unquote. Give $25, pledge for your kids.
Absolutely.
So that way they can actually be a part of KPFT when they get older, and then I can put them on air.
Absolutely. Folks, we really need to hear from you. 713-526-573. I brought two very good people to the show today, and you see where we have to go as a country. We have to talk to each other. And you know what? These are friends, okay?
Absolutely.
These are friends. And once we start to think of other folks in a particular way, I don't remember the guy told you this. He said, you know what? If you bring people together, suddenly you can't hate each other.
That was Bill. Yeah.
That was Bill, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's what
Get
it's all
face to
about.
face. I mean, that's really big. I think, unfortunately, our kids go to schools with people that look like them too much.
Right.
Now, I mean, when I grew up, I went to MacArthur High School. It was about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Right.
As far as race and ethnicity, and it was invaluable to me. We need to come together.
Absolutely, folks. So I have 1 minute. 713-526-573. Please let those phones blow up right now. Please let those phones blow up. 713-526-573. David, thank you so kindly for being on the show.
Absolutely,
Jeannie,
my pleasure.
thank you so kindly for being on the show. You guys were exceptional, and we'll have you sometime again. And again, that is the end of the show. My name is Egberto Willis. Politics Done Right is out. Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled EGBERTO. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.